Great, it is 7:08 on November 13th, 2024. And I'll call to order the meeting of the Ware Conservation Commission. I'm Andy Fulton, the chair of the commission. To my left, we have Ray and Mike. Steve, Mike is the secretary, and that has extra bearing tonight, I think, unless we hear something different from Town Administrator Bolton. Vice Chair Steve, and to my right, we've got Zuzu and Mark and Dave. Dave is our selectman liaison. So we have one member not able to be with us tonight. Otherwise, we've got a quorum and we've got business to do. We have one guest in the audience who spoke with Town Administrator today and has a special request. I have a reasonable agenda, number of things to do, but unless I hear objections from anybody at the table, I'd ask our guest to come up to the podium, and we try to move the guests on and through right away. So introduce yourself, where you live, what your interest is, and take it. We just need to.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. My name's Ray Tobin. I live over on Dudley Brook Road, number 9. Here today to ask for permission for a Category 1 camp cooking fire on town land, specifically Toby Hill. Also requesting permission to camp. Part of 2 organizations, one being the American Mountain Men. It is a international organization dedicated to recreating the lifestyle of the American fur trapper in the Rockies from 1800 to 1840. We go out, camp, hunt, hand sew all of our own clothing, and conduct research, and most importantly, educate kids and adults alike on what we do, why we do it, and just show them a good time. Back in August, we did the New Hampshire's Trappers Association Rendezvous, where we had a turnout of almost 200 people, so it was a really good time to educate, hoping to get out and do some more outreach. So I'm just here to ask for permission for that.
How many days you gonna be out there?
It'll probably be a 2-day camp, max 3. I don't have specific dates yet or a specific location, but I'll recon the area. I'll be able to give grid coordinates of exactly where we'll be.
So is that this fall, or?
Yes, during this fall, winter period, during the hunting season.
I don't know if you, the drought index is like way up right now.
And that's why we wouldn't be doing it now. I've done quite a bit of composite risk management in a previous life in the Army, and I understand we had that red flag warning the other day, things like that. I typically do a lot of squirrel hunting, and that'll be after deer season, so there'll hopefully be snow on the ground too. That's really ideal condition for what we like to do.
And what are the attributes of this location that have piqued your interest and caused you to come in and ask for permission for use of public land?
There's accessibility, a lot of variation in the trees, a lot of red oak, and this year they seem to be dropping more. They drop every other year. So there's a ton of squirrel activity, potential for deer as well, which would be great, but I'll take anything. A lot of red squirrels. Chipmunks are still out as of late, which is really weird for this time of year. Usually they hold up. It's a really beautiful area, accessible, and I think that it's just a good spot, a lot of acreage, and yeah, we're low impact camp. We carry out what we bring in, and like I said, it's all primitive. We're if it's nice out, we're flat camping. We're not even putting stakes in the ground.
And how many people do you think?
5.
So five folks camping, but any chance that there'd be more during the event at various times?
No, it's,
So this
we're a
isn't,
we're a small group, in general, and just looking at the entirety of the group. But we're our own party within the American Mountain Men, so we have our own charter and everything, so, but it's just 5 of us. There's a lot more goings on out west. A lot of the guys have horses, a lot of BLM land to do things on. And it's part of the culture out there because they're in the Rockies. But here out east, I mean, the guys who went west came somewhere, from somewhere. New England was a big contributor to it, Nat Wyeth and types like that.
so where does the educational part of it come in? Is it just by maintaining your organization that there's an opportunity for education, or is there,
Correct.
are you hoping that you build to something in the future where you'd have the uninitiated invited, or you know, having a chance to interact with folks who
Oh,
aren't committed to it but are
Yeah.
curious? So.
no, absolutely, and we're always looking for opportunities like that, like for Boy Scout troops or anything like that. We're always open to suggestions, even if it's not all 5 of us there. If a couple of us can get there and get it done, we can set up a lean-to. We have overall about 45-minute hour seminar that we do, but we also do ad hoc teachings, like we lay out, equipment's a big thing. People love seeing muzzle loaders, seeing knives and handmade rope and things like that, that they can touch is tangible, but able to tell them about what they were doing out there, why they went out there, and just looking for opportunities like that.
And is there any format to the permission you seek, and is there any sort of already templated form that you ask folks in a town like us to use, or are you looking
Oh,
just
no.
for verbal permission, and that's good enough for your organization?
No, it has to be written permission per the fire chief, because I spoke with him before it sent this way. So I could draft something up and if I had more advance notice, I'd bring it today, but I found out this afternoon.
Right,
So.
right.
So the trick with a Cat 1 is that's a seasonal permit. So I don't know how he's gonna juggle that, like for a homeowner, you just get that once a year, and they loosened up when you can actually burn with that. It's not just like at night anymore.
You can get a day, Cat 1.
Can you still?
Yep.
I don't think you could.
You
So
can.
they'll give you, so can we just, how would we manage that though? So I mean, we're not giving them blanket Cat 1.
We can have the written permission specify the dates
Okay.
or arrange.
Mhm.
Yeah, if we could do that, that's good, because
Yeah.
the seasonal would be kind of problematic, you know?
Yep.
So we could, provided it's the will of the commission, give you a verbal tonight. Of course, we'll talk about minutes in just a second, but that's a written record of this meeting. With an understanding that you nail down the things that are particularly interesting to us, the dates, the location, and then at that point, we'd potentially provisionally have the ability to sign off on it if it's already approved in a generic sense tonight, or if it's the will of commission, we could say conceptually, this is a discussion, but we'd see you again in December when we meet, and we could, maybe have it all nailed down then and sign off.
All right.
I'd just suggest maybe considering a motion just to conditionally approve them camping and get a Cat 1 permit that's restricted to just that initial time, 4 days, you said, or?
Maximum of 3.
All right, 3, yeah, so make it 4 just in case, and that either the chair or the vice chair could contact the fire department, just tell them that it's been approved, once we get the actual dates.
He just needs written permission for a burn permit.
Mhm.
You need actual written permission from the landowner.
Yeah, I mean, the fire chief's also a town. I mean, so we're saying go ahead, just sign it for the
Yeah.
town, if he's good with it, or otherwise, I don't know, I mean, I guess Naomi could sign it. If you
Only
need,
if you guys authorize it.
okay. Yeah, and authorize either the fire chief, Naomi, or Andy and myself to sign it, just to make sure that there's somebody around that can sign it.
So Steve, that sounds like a motion that to conditionally approve Ray Tobin and his group of 5 allowing camping on the
Toby Hill.
Toby Hill Town Forest for up to 4 overnights, days inclusive, with the recommendation for a Cat 1 fire permit approval to the fire chief by the chair or the vice chair, and signature of the permit by the chair, vice chair, fire chief, or town administrator.
Second.
Is that accurate enough?
Yeah, yeah, that way we're not, spending, I mean, it seems like a perfectly good use of conservation land, and the fire chief will know what the fire danger is for that period, and make that decision whether to issue it or not, so. That'd be my thought behind, discussion. but-
Any other concerns, thoughts? Opportunity to weigh in? There being none, we have a motion made by Steve, seconded by Mark. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Sounds like all in favor. Anybody opposed? Nobody opposed. All right, you're clear on what you get from us and what you need to do?
Yep, I'll go scout and get you those coordinates and give you some dates, and we'll get this ball rolling. I appreciate it.
And if there's anything else, it doesn't sound like you're intending to trap out there during this time period, but if you do and you need to see us, you'll find us on here the second Wednesday of each month.
Perfect, yeah.
Okay.
That'd
And
be
it-
something I'd be interested in too, but
Use the conservation account to contact us, or conservation emails when he gets the actual dates down?
Yeah, the best thing is to peg conservation at where.nh.gov.
No, no.
Where.nh.gov, sorry, old habits.
because I know I'll forget.
Conservation at
Yeah, it's on the website.
where.nh.gov.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'll find it.
There's still
If
a
nobody
dot on
answers
our
you, just,
thing.
just call the
let me-
town
let me
hall,
change
somebody will
that
get a
too.
hold of us.
All right.
Does it no longer work?
It forwarded for a little while, but I think it stopped.
Yeah.
All right, thank you very much.
Sounds good, Ray. And the website is wherenh.gov?
No, it still has the dot, that's the
The
computer.
website does. We've got it there. Okay. All right. So I don't forget it, in a similar vein, I know we're kind of backwards a little bit here. Should just touch on one thing. Minutes, Naomi, we need to, per the previous email, handle those ourselves? Is that the,
He's doing those tonight. Hopefully Monday night we're interviewing 2, so we should have 1 out of 2.
there's a chance next time that there'll be assistance again? You all set with that?
Yep, just while we're on the topic, is it 5 business days or 5
5
days?
business days, so
Okay.
it doesn't include the weekend.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, Mike. All right. We do have a request for permission to trap from Glenn Dubois. or Du Bois, I'm not sure which way, of Dunbarton. This is the usual letter regarding the Wood Family Forest. And Glenn's pretty good about giving us what he commits to, a record of take, as well as the opportunity, should anybody anybody on the commission desire to get a chance to walk the line with him. And I think last year it was pretty light. I don't think it was a very good season at all. I don't recall 100%, but it might have been pretty close to a nil take last year. Would anybody like to look at the request? It's a two-step request. We sign off if we're interested, and then we pass it along to the Board of Selectmen for their signature on the 6th.
I think it's worth noting he was doing this on this property before it became conservation land, is that correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
Past years, Board of Selectmen and Conservation Commission have been kind enough to grant the request. Conservation Commission set several parameters, there are 6 of them listed. Also traps an abutting piece of land. Had trapped it when Gene Woods owned it. I guess for a couple decades before the town purchased the land. Just access for tending. I think we said no truck. And if there was a deer, it looks like he's saying that he would need to use an ATV if there was a take, to get it off the land. Truck use, all right, here are the conditions. Terms for trapping where conservation property identified as Gene Woods property, tax map 411, lot 160. Number 1, approval of the Conservation Commission. 2, report on take of fur from the conservation land and the abutting land. Truck use limited to trapping only. Vehicle access not to interfere with snowmobiles. Road only if conditions allow, so not abusing the road. Turns in the gate key at the end of the season. Chair or other member is welcome to accompany on a check of the trap line. Fish and game rules to be followed, and permission can be rescinded at any time, any reason, with Conservation Commission vote. And then the second piece, to go to the selectmen to whom a concern, Glenn Dubois of 32 Everett Dam Road, Dunbarton, has permission to drive a vehicle on the town aware land located on Route 114 and access through the Francis Bolton Memorial Field. Land formerly owned by Mrs. Jean Woods for the purpose of tending his trap line. This permission shall be valid between November 1 and April 10, with the approval of members of the Board of Selectmen.
So what was the part about deer hunting though? 'Cause that's not on the permission there.
No, he, in times prior, had asked whether he could drive a truck on the road if he was fortunate enough to take a deer. He is currently saying that he wouldn't need to drive a truck, but would use an ATV of some sort.
But that's not really in that batch of permission there that you've got.
Right.
I guess the only concern, you know, I don't really care to some extent, but every deer hunter in Ware ought to be entitled to the same thing, to be able to use a ATV to get their deer out of the woods.
So Mrs. Woods and her family's request were to use the road only for the purpose of tending my trap line or to remove a deer should I have the good fortune to bring one to bag while hunting. The only access to this property that I'm aware of is a road that runs through from Bolton Field. Okay, there are other access points, but I would need an ATV from the other access points. When I hunt, access is by foot as per our agreement. So yes, there is, we could write it in there, but there is a request by mention of prior practice of being able to drive the truck on the road to help take out a deer if you were to take one.
Right, so he's not, actually, the ATV is not really in play.
Correct, correct. I misread that. Thank you. So we could add that to the list. It's not directly related to the trapping. And my guess is, although he did that in the past, of late, he has had no cause to exercise that option that he used to have with Mrs. Woods.
Isn't it just a combo lock down there now too?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we need a motion to grant approval if we are so, if anybody is so inclined.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve it. Actually, the motion is actually to recommend to the Board of Selectmen to sign the trapping permit and approve the vehicle access, to clarify
Done this for
that.
a number of years for this guy.
Yeah, he's done it 20 years, yeah.
Been a good, been a good steward of the property.
Yes.
I'll second the motion.
All right, Steve made the motion, Mark seconded the motion. So in that case, we did not, as we are discussing this, touch base on whether we, as a commission, are authorized or should sign the requested terms, form, or sheet.
We're just gonna recommend the Selectmen do it. That was,
Yep. Okay, just make sure that we've got that covered. Any other comments from the commission? There being none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Anybody opposed? All in favor? Dave, anything needed for clarity to the selectmen?
Since I'm not familiar with the process, maybe you could just kind of give a brief overview of why the request. Is it because it's trapping?
Yes, it's part of the state regulated trapping activity
Okay,
that landowner permission is required.
okay. And he used the air from the previous owner, and he's asking to continue to use the land.
Have that option, right?
All right,
Been a number of years.
okay.
probably 20.
Probably, yeah.
Said he's been a good steward.
All right,
So what we have is a state permit to trap. That is this is a landowner permission describing the location, and the name of the landowner needs to be signed by the landowner. So Conservation Commission's recommendation is that the selectmen as town landowner representative sign. And that, we find that essentially consistent with what we do as a Conservation Commission.
Okay.
Stewardship, if you will. So Naomi, do you want to take this to selectmen?
Yeah,
Okay.
I don't want to lose it.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
So as far as hunting though, for deer hunting, is anyone allowed to, that's a resident aware to hunt on town land, or anyone that's a resident of New Hampshire, or?
Anyone that has a legal license, you know, following the rules. See, you get into, so, you know, depends on what species you're after and what you're doing, right? Baiting is always gonna require a permit, and, you know, we had that issue come up with bear. Just normal deer hunting doesn't require anything.
Yeah.
Yeah,
All right,
yeah.
So that private land, is there a different standard for private versus public land when it comes to deer hunting?
For baiting there is, not so much for deer. Well, I mean, so you get into like things like tree stands. If you own the property, you know, you can put a screw in a tree, you can do whatever you want to the tree, right? You can put up a permanent stand. New Hampshire's come out with, pretty recently, some dates now that stands need to be removed, and they need to have contact information on them. So you see a lot of, like, I feel like when the less expensive imported tree stands came onto the market pretty heavily,
Folks
people
just
left them out there. So now there is, you know, that's not allowed anymore without landowner permission, and you need to have marked with your name. So as far as the town goes, I mean, it's pretty much the way, you know, we've managed it.
And where we have been contacted, that I recall, it is for the vehicle access should the take occur. And we had one particular, probably about 10 years ago, request that on a moose lottery win. But we don't see that very often.
No, and then the bear baiting requests, I
And
don't
the
know that we
bear
had
baiting
that
request
this
is
year or
up.
not, but yeah, that's been about it.
Hasn't come to us this year. Yep.
thank you.
Great. All right, so that takes care of a couple things that weren't on the agenda. I think we can move back to the agenda. There are a couple inserts that hopefully prompts bring us to. We do need to review and approve the September 11th meeting minutes. Anybody have a chance to review those, have anything found or any desire to approve those as final? If we just haven't had a chance, they will retain until we force that issue a little bit. Okay, and I didn't note it here, but we also had a joint meeting on September 30th with the Board of Selectmen. And I did not see those minutes posted yet on our website. So when we've had joint meetings with the selectmen, that is covered. Naomi, do you have any idea when those might go live, or have they been?
Well, the skeleton of one will arrive soon with the
Yeah.
motions.
Okay. So that's outstanding, and we keep that tickler out there as a record. And we get over to land management items, that meeting, that September 30th meeting will be relevant. Okay, and we've got Mike's working up the minutes for this meeting, so that's great. On to planning board items. We have one item which was an alert that Cortland Ave is looking to be accepted as a public road after many years, private road. That was the Orchard subdivision. And perhaps, Naomi, could you give us a quick brief in the mic for where that stands, and that kind of lays out the relevance to this group?
Well, it's been paved. If you've been by, you've seen it. The edges have been backed up. I don't have an update. I know the drainage was looked at. I don't have verification yet that the monument's been set. Meridian would be the ones that are going to set it, but I don't have any verification on that. I really don't have a request that we take it over. That we received the request, I just wanted you to know that it was, you can go by and see that it's being worked on.
Okay,
That is on their punch list. The monuments is on the punch list still, it's to be done. Once they achieve final work, they'll have a walkthrough with the planning board, the engineer, and DPW director. At that point, if everybody's happy, the planning board would recommend to the selectmen that the road would be taken over. That doesn't happen until a public hearing gets held, which takes 2 weeks' notice to do that. And then a warranty bond would have to be in place. It's held 25% of the total for the road for 2 years. And once all of that's in place, then if there's snow, we plow. But we're still a ways away. So
okay.
all the i's aren't dotted and the t's aren't crossed yet. So, but we're
Thanks.
working.
Thanks for the heads up.
Working towards conclusion.
If we would like to know when a walkthrough might be scheduled in the future, would that be a request to?
Yeah, I was we've
the
got a lot.
chair of planning
Yeah, we've
board?
got a lot of new members for the chair too, with the selectmen, they might be interested in actually seeing it before we have a public hearing. But typically the planning goes out with the engineer,
Yeah,
but I can let you all know, but if you're gonna have a quorum, just let me know, I have to post it.
yeah.
Will the engineer perambulate the boundaries and verify that the monuments are actually there?
Very good question, I can ask that. They're depending on Meridian, who's be putting them in to certify.
Yeah, we've had some not this development, but another development that
Sure.
was missing monuments, and we end up, it cost us money to fix
Yep.
it.
Yeah,
Do it up front.
we can talk about that, yeah. I
Yeah.
think the plan is that Meridian had originally laid things out that they would do, because right now the plan you're looking at says TBS, which is to be set,
Yeah, right.
and
They
we
used to
want
do
them
that,
set.
Yeah.
So, and certified.
Thank you.
Yep.
So that's a good heads up. Let's
Making
see.
progress anyhow.
It's, it's been on the list for quite a while, so. All right, moving off the planning board down to, what's usually Wetlands Bureau with, New Hampshire DES.
And then you got an American tree letter too.
Right. And that will bring up under land management, okay. All right, so we've got maybe they go together, let's see. October 24th, letter from DES, Wetlands Bureau, regarding a notice of public hearing, standard dredge and fill permit. DS file number 2024-01739. Looking at
Ray, you don't have to stay if you don't want to. You're welcome to. But
Proposal to impact wetlands.
I feel like sometimes people feel like they have to stick around, but you're.
Sometimes I have. Ray's looked plenty comfortable there,
Yeah,
so
I
I.
mean, you're absolutely
I've just
welcome
rolled
to,
forward,
but-
but good point, absolutely.
Okay.
All right, this is a
Can you address,
proposal
Andy?
to impact wetlands to replace 188 existing utility structures and install OPGW along the A164 transmission line right-of-way, temporarily impacting 329,426 square feet, or 7.5 acres, permanently impacting 700 square feet of shrub, emergent wetlands for installing timber matting. The proposed location begins at the Jackman Substation in Hillsborough and runs through the Ware Substation. So that's a heads up. And we also received in our inbox a standard dredge and fill wetlands permit application, which is irregular, doesn't happen often. And so this is a separate, just drop off, and on a standard, we have opportunity to provide comment, so I guess it's a bit of a heads up. And this is the second item for 154 Branch Road, map 106, lot 18, on Lake Horace. For permanently replacing a dilapidated retaining wall on the lakefront, that's a stone wall to mitigate ongoing erosion. Wall to include steps to facilitate access to the lake for swimming and recreation without causing additional erosion. The work is greater than 20 feet from any property line. This section of the property main access to the water for swimming, canoeing, kayaking, paddleboarding. Substantial erosion from waves generated by motorboats. And the remaining property lakefront has extensive natural vegetation, limiting its use for swimming and recreation. Other options such as extensive planting on sandy soil, hard scrape, or riprap design are impractical to a location and intended use. Plan to use natural stone and granite without cement. And work to be done in the late fall through spring during drawdown. So, a standard doesn't require anything of us. The applicant is required to notify us, I believe, or notify the town.
Doesn't Maureen actually get those and sign them?
I couldn't find a signature on it, though.
Right there.
Maureen has signed,
Yeah.
and the owner has signed. So I don't know whether this is one of many copies as an FYI, or why it fell into our box.
I think everybody gets a copy.
Yeah.
There's two, one in my box, one in yours.
So we have opportunity, as we've been made aware, to weigh into the process. No obligation. And I would just characterize that as somebody looking to do it right and fix something up better. Any thoughts or concerns on either of those? We'll be moving on then. First item under land management is our little field next to the cemetery on Concord Stage Road did get mowed. I haven't seen the invoice from Mr. Wilson yet, but that will likely show up. Looks good. Just mowing in Eastman makes me wonder, Steve, if our treatment of the big field, if at some point that's going to be annualized, or whether we're more on an every other year type approach to that, or just how do we sort of longer range want to maintain the opening, the big opening?
Yes, I mean, you know, you gotta look at the, probably look at the plan and see what's in there right now for
Yeah.
Eastman. And, I mean, I would categorize that as more of a wildlife opening than a field.
Mm-hmm.
So, I know we talked about, you know, if we go in there and reapply fire or not. I don't think we ever got too far with that again. Remember, Naomi, we were trying to see if the town insurance would cover me as a burn boss, and, you know, if we could do it that way, or if we want to just look at, you know, going in there with a masticator, and then, you know, the other thing consider with a masticator, if we start doing that, is, which I think we did that last time, is do we want to break it up and have it in multiple stages of succession, or hit it all at once? And then also we have that planting in there, which I'm not even exactly sure where that is, but we need-
Pollinator.
yeah,
planting.
so I want to make sure that doesn't get overly disturbed. And so the idea is we're trying to keep the tree species out of there, but have things like blackberry and raspberry and wildflowers, so kind of keep in that early successional stage. So, yeah.
And that's part of the forest management plan for that.
It should be in the parcels plan. If it isn't, we need to add it. Yeah, on what our maintenance. And then even thinking, same kind of thing, I can't picture what's going on by that rock that we have the engraving in, because that was kind of open around that too, whether we need to hit that once in a while, so that rock doesn't get all grown in.
Right. Yeah,
Steve, I think blackberries and bushes like that, the wildflowers and all that, if you mow that in the fall, doesn't that help it along? 'Cause I know the wildflowers it does. If you mow them in the fall, you can't do it in the summer, but once they go dormant in the fall, when you mow that, it actually helps.
Yeah, I mean, same thing with pine fire. Yeah, I think,
'Cause I'm worried if you don't touch it or mow those areas, the trees will take over.
well, they will. You got a few, I mean, the trees are always, you know, they're there, those hardwoods, you know, those root systems are there. So it's just a matter of, kind of gauging when it would get too unwieldy for a small masticator, and then you've got to pay for a brontosaurus or something to come in there. So I think if you're in like the 2 to 4 year rotation, you're okay. And then like leaving stuff up till late fall is, you know, that's good for the pollinators, because, you know, once everything starts to really go dormant, that is good. And typically the ground conditions are better. It can be a little wet in there. So, yeah. Do we still have that masticator in town, that little, that's gone?
It's broke.
But-
They've been putting in the budget for a new one.
You know, for that, I mean, just one that's on a skid steer would be like ideal. That's not too unwieldy for that. So we'll probably contract someone if we need to, and get the forester to deal with it.
Thank you, Steve. All right, any other thoughts on that aspect of Eastman management? Sticking with town forest, we had a request from Jeremy Turner, our town forester, to sign off on an inspection form for Poor Farm. And we want to consider and motion and approve signature of that form if the commission's so inclined.
Is this it here?
I think that's a separate, but it'd be good to have a
Where-
look and,
Where's the actual form?
I did not print a copy of the actual form. So we need either Steve or myself permission to sign what Jeremy sent to us back in September.
Need a motion for that?
Hold on one sec, if we can. So which one was that one for?
Poor Farm.
All right, this is
that
Poor
cover?
Farm. Yeah, this is. So just so we understand, what he ended up doing was, we're saying because our actual land management plan for Poor Farm is out of date, they're kicking us into the Pioneer category for Tree Farm, and that's, that provides landowners an opportunity to work towards certification, whether they are new or previously certified, but must update their management requirements.
A much friendlier word than probation.
Yeah, so essentially, this is it.
Okay.
So that's kind of what happened there, so.
So it keeps a foot in the door if there is
Yeah,
such a concern.
So that probationary period is why? Is because we're not harvesting it enough, or
We've,
plan?
there are some things we haven't done because we were operating on a one-year 2024 Forester. So we haven't added work this year, but it was more of a, let's finish some of the things that we have rolling. So updating the forest management plan for Poor Farm has not occurred. So we're outside the window since last update, so this is a way to maintain our association with the American Tree Farm System, recognizing that we haven't done some of the things that are part of the exemplary designation of being a tree farm, which means you're doing everything, you know, the basic things, you got them all covered. And so it's a way of saying we're under good management, and this is a way of saying we want to stay under good management, but we've missed something, and the reason we've missed it, I think, is,
And we need a
Something
separate
where-
report for every piece of land we have.
only the ones that are enrolled. So Felch Farm's enrolled, this is enrolled. I don't think they all are. I think that might be it, right?
I don't know which ones,
Is
We
Eastman
put it
isn't,
I don't think it is. We don't have a sign out there or anything.
all I can think of is Filch Farm. I can't think of anything else.
Yeah. So
so
the,
these are legacy ones that have been
yeah,
sort of the point two town forests in town for, you know, better than 25 years.
so just thinking about this one before we move forward with updating any plans, we need to, I assume the new town attorney's gonna have to work on this now, does that stay with Mitchell and Bates, or whatever, that Mitchell Muni?
It'll go to the new attorney.
So we gotta start over. Do they turn over their notes on, like, on any issue that they worked on, or do we start from scratch?
As far as I know, they will turn it over if we request it, if they haven't.
The open cases, they transferred material, but, all the other stuff got delivered here in boxes,
Oh, correct.
in the basement. There's like 25 boxes downstairs, so, in the vault.
So you're still thinking on Poor Farm with the,
We got two things going, or three things, depending on how you wanna look at it. So we've got, we got all of our data that we are, so we hopefully still have the reports. I think we have them electronically, that the surveyor did, right? The whole analysis of why we own it, and Cogliano doesn't. He's since passed away, but his son looks like is probably involved. And so we need to bring that to resolution, and I think what we ought to do with the management.
that's the adverse claim that,
Yeah.
Okay.
And then we ought to for that management plan, we should just tack on the new parcel onto that management plan. You don't need a separate plan
The one
for,
we bought from when was it? No, Colombo? No, what's the name? County.
county,
County.
yes, county.
Okay.
So that would just be tacked right onto that plan. There's no reason to have a separate plan.
They're contiguous.
Yeah,
So-
yeah. Yeah, exactly.
We still have all the emails and all the stuff from Mitchell.
Yeah, it's just, you just gotta pull it all back together. I mean, so like, yeah, it's just,
We're going with Article 24 and 26.
we still need an electronic filing system.
So what is the holdup there with Cagliano? I thought that went to, what is it called, a quiet something?
Quiet title.
No, so he passed away, and Laura, you know, we haven't filed in court anything, so I mean, they were, you know, the next step would have been for them to file in probably Superior Court. So now we switched attorneys, right, so it's like,
You have to
bang, start
learn it
over.
all, yeah. Okay.
So do we go, now that was already approved by the selectmen to deal with the attorney for that. Is that just approved to this new attorney, or do we go back to the selectmen with that form, or what are we doing?
I'll bring it up at the, next week's meeting.
I think you'd have to come back to the board, but David can help with it.
Right, we haven't had an introduction to our new town attorney, so we are outside the know on these things. And hopefully we can make that through the selectmen in good order. It just hasn't happened yet.
So to not waste a month, I know we're kind of working between the minutes at this point, can we just motion that the chair is able to sign the form to request access to the attorney for the Poor Farm issue so that we can get the management plan going when the forester is awarded and move out of pioneer stage back to full certification to bring it all the way full circle to the tree farm issue?
Yeah, that's all I need.
Get all that, that just means you can sign the form.
I got the authority to sign the form part of it, yeah. Almost sounds like a riddle within an enigma, and whatever the
Is
third
there
thing
an
is on
official
it.
title to this form?
Attorney access request or something like that. It's on the website, isn't it?
Okay. The least amount of homework I have to do after.
Legal counsel.
Was that what it was? Yeah.
What, say it
Yeah.
again?
Was a request for legal counsel, town legal counsel.
Quick mark, second that.
It'd take them a half hour to finish writing it out.
The long and short of it was a motion for Andy to be able to sign the form for request of legal counsel for Poor Farm.
Request for legal assistance regarding
Remember how long this has been ongoing?
Too long,
Poor
because we paid for the,
Yes.
yeah,
Farm.
I know, for the Bronco Marzick to do all that research.
adverse claim.
Close to 2 years.
It's over 2 years.
Oh, yeah.
Now, what about signing this
You're calling it
form?
an adverse claim?
We'll do another one on that?
Yeah.
Yeah, but call the one that's on the, for vote.
Well, that'd be another motion on
Yeah,
this
you can do
one.
another
Yeah,
motion.
separate motion, yeah. All right. I'm sorry, did you second that one also?
Yeah.
No, okay.
So it's both the adverse claim and the plan needing to be updated that have,
The adverse claim needs to get settled
Yes.
in order to update the plan.
okay.
And don't we still have to
Yeah.
petition for quiet title?
No, I mean, you could.
That goes back to legal assistance and, you know, what,
Yeah.
We were having a hard time with the communication, so I mean, where it's his son now, I don't know if his son's gonna wanna just say, yeah, you guys are right, we're all set. He could, or go to court.
all right, we got the motion, we got the second from Mark, motion made by Steve. And we've had some discussion, any further discussion? There being none, all in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. All in favor.
All right, I'll make a motion for Andy to sign the American Tree Farm inspection record for, the inspection took place on 9/18/2024, and it just recommends that we go to Pioneer status.
Second.
All right, Ray seconded that motion. Any concerns, discussion on this one? There being none, all in favor say aye. Aye. All in favor. All right, Steve, I can't even see where I signed this thing.
Landowner signature in there.
You wanna snapshot that and send it to Jeremy?
Take a scan over here.
All right. You know, David, I got this next item onto the agenda, but unless I've already printed it out somewhere, I did not, I don't have my notes on the Felch Farm harvest summary.
I printed it out, but small.
Well, let me give it a try. All right, so question at hand was kind of what goes into the town's receipts from a timber harvest. This was a Felch Farm one back in the late spring, where we had receipts as expected, but we didn't have much insight to sort of how the numbers come together for something like that. And one recommendation, if I recall, Steve made us, let's have Jeremy talk about that. We don't have him present here, and we're in a renewal process for that position. So I'll just look at a couple of the items. We had was it about 100,000 deposited to the town forest account. And that was primarily generated by a strong sale of white pine. Got a real good price for the pine that came out of there. There was a little bit of pulp, a little bit of chips, a little bit of firewood. And after the softwood logs, we had 12,390 board feet of hardwood, which would be primarily red oak, with 139,205 board feet of softwood logs. And we've got the microfiche that breaks that down by date and loads and puts that all together. That was a June summary, which netted the town $40,000, which was almost 52,000 in gross receipts. And that was what came our way after essentially the logger gets paid by the mills. And then we had the percentage pulled out of that, a little bit below 12,000 for the stumpage fees, Meadows and consulting companies stumpage. So that was June, a little bit reversed here. Back in May, the first month of the harvest, it was $59,000 in net to the town from a $76,000 gross and 16, I guess almost 17 for the forester stumpage fees. There were also on the May summary report some materials to the amount of about $250 fees. Flagging, marking paint being the materials. Let's see, the May, so the first month report was even more heavily white pine, softwood logs. No firewood on that. Again, a very little bit of pulp and some chips. And then we get provided all sorts of detail on the breakdown, and I wouldn't pretend to speak to it, but Jeremy could if we wanted to. But this is the tracking spreadsheet, which from left to right includes information like a ticket number, delivery date, delivery point, the product, if it's what the scale is, either in the units, tons, or cords, or what have you. We've got a unit price, the amount of any check, gross per unit stumpage rate, administrator supervisor fees, marketing layout fees. So we get a whole lot of detail that Dave, is really kind of beyond me. Not only is it in small print, but even in large print, it would be the, sort of the keys to the code. And it's, accounting for everything that was done out there that generated revenue to the town. We get this at the end of the job, provided by our contract forester. Steve, go ahead.
I just want to add on, so when we're talking about, the income to the town is to the town forestry account from the harvest itself. The town also is generating revenue from the severance tax, because the logger still has to pay the severance tax. So there's actually more money than that coming into the greater town, just different, budget items. And we don't, that goes directly to, it gets filed, I believe, with the town clerk, and also the state ends up with a copy of that, I believe.
Right, so that's not something that's waived because you're harvesting municipal.
No, yeah, they have
It's
to pay.
something paid by the
Yep.
outfit that's extracting the product, the logger. And all those numbers happen before we receive any sort of estimate of what's coming our way. So in this case, the bid shows what revenue is anticipated for the town. It doesn't show what expense is anticipated for the logger.
And the difference would be if you were a private landowner and a logger gave you 400, 1,000 for something, you'd end up paying those taxes out of what they gave you. Us, that money, whatever we agreed on is coming to us, and then they're paying the taxes. So it's a little different with a municipality or the state or federal agency.
On the bid, do you get an estimate of what they expect the town to receive when
Yeah.
it's bid?
Yep.
Did you compare?
Yeah, this one nailed it.
Really?
Yeah.
Nice.
We've had some that have gone over. This was one we knew was a very aggressive bid, far, far in excess of what the other bidders brought forward. I don't know whether there's a strategy in that. Sometimes we've received 20% greater than estimate, because markets might change, or, a different outlet for the product was identified after the bid was put in, but we have not, that I recall, been pushed the other way where either the market just collapsed, because if the market, we get a heads up, and that's what a key role of our forester is, to have a sense on the market so that we're not doing work at a loss or at a below, far below bid price because things have suddenly tanked. If that's the case, usually we just hold off and don't do the harvest until there's reason to expect decent revenue.
All right.
Any other thoughts or questions, understanding what, sort of the nitty-gritty of a timber harvest summary and the details that go into it? But if something was amiss, this is where you'd find it.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of detail in there,
Yeah.
enough to make your head spin. But, yeah, it's all spelled out exactly what percentage of everything is on.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, next item, the forestry harvest at Sherry Burdick's property has been completed. The, in granting an access agreement to take timber off that property through town property, there was a bond required. I don't know the exact wording, some sort of performance bond. And we need a motion to release that bond back to the logger who forwarded it.
Would that be a motion to recommend to the selectmen to release the bond? Because it is in our bond, right?
That's what I thought. What I got from the town finance administrator, from Beth, was a comment, I think we all saw that, saying, I just need conservation to approve releasing it. I was curious, because I don't remember that Conservation Commission put in the stipulation that there be a bond attached to it.
Permission to access.
Right.
I don't recall any bond.
And before the bond would be released, wouldn't someone have to inspect make sure that it's okay to release the bond?
The license,
Forester has gone through.
Forester has, okay.
yeah.
Yep, and I've driven the road within the last month, right up to where the property boundary was, and I found an asset for the town, and kind of makes me think about how the next harvest on the Eastman, might benefit from that. So I would characterize it as left in real good shape.
So take a stab at it, make a motion, just to make sure we got it covered. Make a motion that the Conservation Commission recommend to the Finance Administrator and to the Board of Selectmen that we release the performance bond for Eastman Town Forest access.
Second.
The motion is to recommend.
Yeah.
And that, to be clear, is the bond put up by Towns Logging.
Okay, make that amendment.
Well, we got Ray in there for the second.
You did.
You didn't have to re-second the amendment?
And we could have,
gotta cover
have Mike in there on the
We got it covered.
third.
Cover it now.
I don't know what I'll call that, the third or what, but,
Want to make sure we're doing everything good.
all right. My understanding is that would cover us. Anybody have any thoughts otherwise? All right. With that, all in favor of releasing the bond, say aye. Aye. Anybody opposed or abstaining? No. All in favor? All right. Now, what
It's
really,
really filling up our schedule.
we didn't meet last month, so we're paying for some of it now, but, a lot of relative significance in it, so that's good.
Gotta keep you rolling, Andy.
Yes,
slowing
Forester,
down.
Forester RFP. Take it away, Steve. Essentially, we need to accept the changes that were discussed at the September 30th joint meeting. One of them being that we are going to not ask for a rate schedule going forward for 5 years. And Steve, if you could fill us in on any other thoughts on that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I really have any on that. It's just, the rate schedule is gonna lock us in, essentially could end up with increases that you wouldn't have had, whereas it's more, it's more of a negotiation thing. And then I think we had the ability to extend the thing up to 10 years, right, was one of the discussions, and then,
All right, so future rate adjustments are subject to approval of the Conservation Commission and the Board of Selectmen.
right,
Just for the record, I was there Steve was there, Mike and Mark were there on September 30th, and discussing this for about almost 45 minutes, 7:53 to 8:36 per my notes.
So that opportunity to extend the contract, would that be with approval from the BOS?
Yeah, I would think it would be, they're the agents to expand.
So with, you know, the idea being the contract's coming near conclusion, the forester has done a good job, we go to the board of selectmen, we say, would like to recommend an extension of the contract.
Extension of the 5-year contract for another 5 years.
Yeah.
Okay.
Did we agree on 5 years? I can't remember. I know it came up.
I think it
Like,
was 5.
I can't
Yeah,
remember
think that's
if-
what's always been in play, was the 5, and then, you know, oh, you saying on the extension?
Yeah. I agree on the initial 5, but
Yeah.
I thought we had brought it down on the renewal if we had to extend it.
I don't have notes on that.
Yeah, of course, I don't have anything written on here, but I remember there was a conversation.
Yeah, but our thought process on that was if we have somebody find, if you have to
Maybe-
go through this every year, it's such a hassle for them to follow through on our management plans and stuff. So we requested 5 years.
I think what you guys said was, okay, up to 5.
Okay.
As in, capping at a 5, but you might look at it and say, after 5, Board of Selectmen could say, I'm not good with that, 2 is what maximum I'd do.
Yeah, all right.
Does that ring?
Yeah, I mean, you gotta remember, this thing's canceled at any time. I mean, it's not like
Yeah,
you're-
and
you
we
know,
did,
so it's not-
talked about that as well.
Yeah. It's just, it's a, you know, this is an overall framework, and then like we talked about, you know, when we execute a particular project, I mean, really, that's the details of the contract, right, from year to year.
Yeah.
So there's no real risk to the town with that option to be able to extend it. I think it's all good.
All right. And I think with the, rates, we were gonna go to the 1 year, but then it was gonna be, the town of Ware reserves the right to renegotiate after 1 year with the approval of the select board.
Yeah, I mean, essentially, they're given the rate, and then, you know, if there's a future adjustment they request, and then it's a negotiation.
Right.
Yeah. Rather than try to lock in some imaginary inflation target, because I think like we discussed, and we had many, many years, we had no changes, you
Yep.
know, so. And then do we end up lumping in, everything on the timber harvest, and Mark's brought up quite a few times, I think we talked about it here. We get that to resolution in there where that was gonna be part of the percentage cost, and we weren't gonna allow any outside. I think we
Yeah.
did that here and then kind of presented that, if I remember right.
Yeah, this is on within section 1, Roman numeral 2, lowercase b, Forest Harvest Project Administration. The 1 was project showing, 2 would be a new insert between project showing and preparation of contract, which would be bid preparation, opening, award analysis, reference checks, and notice preparation. And those are all things, language that I pulled directly from an invoice. And I'm trying to say clearly, we anticipate those things to go into
The percentage,
the percentage or stumpage
yeah.
calculation. Because, it smacks of project management, which was already incorporated, even though it hadn't been treated recently, or hadn't been treated that way. So I need to get, or we need to get that language into this document so that town administrator can post it and the whole good thing. So we need to, I guess, approve these points of language change in a motion. I guess maybe we don't 100%, but we want to, I guess, we need at least a good, strong nod from everyone that this is the way we want to go.
Well, we did have a quorum right during the meeting.
Yeah, true enough.
Yeah, we can make a motion for it too, that's fine.
How about a motion just to
Approve the amendment.
approve the amendments and forward to the town administrator for posting?
So just to review, it's removing all the later year columns of rates, including language that the town can negotiate changes to rates in future years, and then adding more specificity to the forest harvest project administration tasks. Those three things.
Yes. You've done a bunch of work on this. Do you feel comfortable
Sure, yeah, if I can.
making those updates? I
Yeah,
can.
copy over some of that stuff from
Yep.
your notes.
The last item I have notes on, as discussed with the selectmen, is we want to be clear, this is a value-based bid, and not going to be awarded solely based on a dollar amount.
Okay,
So, we, and I don't know that that language needs to be in an RFP, but it needs to be clear in our records of our meetings, that's what we're doing.
okay, doesn't hurt to throw it into that section too, additional information as sort of a catch-all.
Yeah.
Alright, I'm just gonna,
And I took a look just for, for instance, how are we gonna score, presuming we get more than one bid, how are we gonna score one versus the other? And the concept, I guess the details, the selectmen, if I recall right, weren't concerned about the details of how we do that. But I want to be sure that we're all on board with the concept. So on the last page of the RFP, we have the cost proposal. And I think Steve made a comment that maybe that shouldn't be worth more than 20% of the total value of the bid. 25. I looked at one way, looking at it at 40%. And then we could attach values to the Roman numeral 3. All respondents shall include with their proposal the following references, examples of management plans. Prospectuses and contracts with municipal timber harvest, in-house resources, trail work experience, recognition and awards, certifications. So there's a list of A through G there, and we could attach some numbers to those, depending on what whether we get multiple responses. I mean, if we don't get multiple responses, spending a lot of time hashing that would probably not be
Correct.
correct. But we should agree to it before any opening, if we're opening
Correct.
multiple bids. So that we've got that expectation on us and consistent with others and their expectations of us. That, in a rambling way, make some sense to everybody here? You have different ideas?
I think I wanna, recommend that we don't call anything a bid, and it's actually just a proposal. Because a bid is a connotation associated with a price, whereas a proposal, we're looking at the holistic offering.
Good point. I could climb on board with that one.
Just looking up
But
the
the
two.
list you're just talking about is the Forester proposal. Correct?
That's how we
That's
scored.
not a timber harvest proposal.
Correct.
Because that takes a different set of criteria for the scoring.
Right.
Yeah.
Good distinction. Thanks.
And a lot of this is, it's opinion anyways. So if we just set the criteria for the, what we want to kind of score on, it's everybody's opinion. We did it on the last bid. And everybody's opinion's different. But you have something that you can score on and then come up with some sort of number
Right.
to calibrate and say, and put it in a place. And if you get the board consensus that this guy has the highest number, this, and that's the one we should be looking at.
Right.
But it's opinion anyway, so just,
Somehow it's a weighted
Right.
opinion, yeah.
so you just need to have that, we're looking at, references, we're looking at previous work, and, and then dollar figure, and you know what I'm saying? Just a list for us to work on. And then as we go through the proposals, we can score.
So we probably wanna focus more on experience than the money part. Because
Correct.
otherwise, you're forced, if
Yeah,
it's more
that's
weighted
where
on
I
the
was saying
money
maybe-
part,
maybe
you're more
we put-
forced to go there.
Maybe we agree to put 75% of the weight on that experience type
Criterias.
criteria and 25% on the unit cost numbers, sort of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, that's what we're kind of discussing before, because, we've got a lot of unique factors. The references, municipal references, the examples of previous management plans, those things are all, what's
Very
gonna
important.
weigh in, yeah. Thinking about, is this gonna take more than one meeting to actually, if we're gonna look at the management plans, or like how are we gonna allot time?
I was thinking that too. If we're gonna do a real review, and we're looking at 5 different management plans from 5 different.
It would depend on what we get for a response, I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah.
We'd have to.
Boxing us into 30 days, though,
Well, couldn't we
potentially
do a
that's-
work session?
we could do a work section,
That would
yep.
probably be the best way, right?
That's what we all love in December, more meetings.
But I mean, even an internal review of all of.
We'll call
you know,
it a
that's-
Christmas party.
Bring cookies, I
If you
can do
have
that
If you have a
again.
management plan that's 100-something pages, and you have 25 of them to review, even if we're having.
All right, so the question is on what we put out there, what Naomi does for the town. We just want to be sure we're not drawing the box too tight around us. So we have some ability, some flexibility to do our due diligence on the coming out of selection.
Is there any way we can ask for a condensed, like if, in case, you know how they give us these big thick proposals that you really don't need to have? Can they condense it a little more, like say, these are the towns we work for, these are the forests we manage, and then leave it up to us to contact those people and see how they did, or do we want a lot of detail to go through?
I would like to review
You like to
Like
review?
to see a format of how they produce a management plan. You'd want something that they developed
Yeah,
and compare it to what we have already.
Mhm.
Do we need 25 of them? Of course not. But one of those management plans per each would be, so you could see how each ones are put together.
yeah. We wouldn't want a management plan for every job they've done.
No,
No, sure.
Just one.
one would be good. And it all depends, if we have two candidates,
Right.
it's not a big deal. If we have 10 candidates, that's a different story.
So we've already got that all, I mean, as far as what they're gonna submit, we already put that in there. So what I was thinking more along the lines is, I mean, that could be a lot of stuff, depending on how many people get back to us, so, like, I'm just guessing, all right, so we put this thing out, right? And we give them a date. Now, if we are sending this out now and we want their responses back for next meeting,
That's pretty tight.
it is, I know, and then like, how long I think we need to give ourselves 2 meetings to actually make a conditional award.
Are we tying our hands, just give them 30 days to produce, especially in the holiday season?
Well, when's the contract up now? January 1st, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're without January 1st, yeah.
But do we could go into January though, because there's really not a lot of stuff going on in our forestry side of things currently in January. And you have a little bit more time. I think sometime that we have it in January, and by February, things are flying, because what do we do in the wintertime?
Logging.
We're not logging, we got nothing on the books for logging.
No, I mean, that's what we do in the wintertime usually.
Oh,
We had
correct.
that one harvest that we were talking about that we said stand down,
Yeah.
that had, we never resolved the access issue. I think we had some
Correct.
promising leads, yeah, yeah. But I mean, that's typical, you know, so I think this winter we're not gonna do
No,
anything
we're
because of
not.
this rate.
I thought we already decided that.
Yeah.
We have, but just in general, the type of
Correct.
work that the,
Correct, we would. But
Yeah.
I'm looking at right now, what we
Yeah.
have going on.
Yeah.
Do we wanna box ourselves into 30 days? Do we have that many people sitting out there looking for, let's just be careful that we don't box ourselves.
Do you
We can
think we
afford to
should?
give ourselves more time in this
Yeah.
case.
but how much, I don't know that we need to give more than the usual allotment of time for a interested party to respond to the request for proposal.
Right.
So we stick with the standard there.
Which is 30 days.
Is that,
What's the average time for a request for proposal?
how long do we, how much of a window do we usually put up?
Leave it for 2 weeks is
Oh.
state law for anything.
We're gonna have to give them longer.
You can go longer than
Yeah.
that.
I've seen things go as long as 6 weeks from the
Yeah.
time of
I was
notice.
gonna say.
It's not abnormal.
So if
Mark,
we
are you
go,
saying maybe we should have the contract begin February 1st?
yeah,
Yeah.
that we could do. It's,
Yeah,
we can have a hiatus, that's,
it's just, we don't want a box going into the holiday season,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
else
to
time to get
review.
everybody done.
Yeah,
If we just push it off and we do it in January meeting,
yeah.
we have the December meeting, if the stuff comes in, we can start reviewing it,
Yeah,
but, you know,
that's what I was saying too. Yeah,
yeah. Because if we're trying to get this.
so we
December
have,
meeting-
we essentially have 1 month, we lay it out as whatever, however,
So we
whether,
get 2 weeks in November, and we can get 2 weeks in December,
to get the proposed request responses in.
responses. And then that gives us, and then we'll get into January. possibly.
Anticipated award would
Yeah.
be January
Yeah.
meeting. Opening December, but award,
In January.
yeah.
That gives us time to thoroughly vet and move on from there.
no, it really doesn't, actually. So, 1, 2, 3. So December's only gonna be exactly 4 weeks.
Right,
I think some months you might end up with 5. See, then your 30 days isn't there.
yeah.
No, we might,
By the time this goes out,
well, that's,
So then we push it to February, so we get December, January. and-
Naomi, when do you think, I mean, we had some thoughts on prior emails, but where things are looking right now, anticipated
Until
ti-
someone gets it to me, I can't really.
once it's in your hands, what are we talking to do, what,
That I can turn
I can do this
Then your
tonight.
2 weeks
right?
would start.
Yeah, so we've,
It would be
we've,
tight for your next meeting,
Yeah,
the holiday.
Oh, sure.
well, the 4 week, I mean, it's only 4 weeks as well. Exactly, so 20 days.
You got Thanksgiving.
right, but we could still allow with Zuzu revising, getting that to you tomorrow. Could still allow 3 weeks for response, which is more than the 2-week minimum. Doesn't have to be 30 days.
Right.
And
Generally, the longer you go, the more responses you get, because a lot of people are too busy to prepare a proposal in a certain amount of time. But how long do you wanna go? I mean, I would think 3 weeks is enough for most people that are gonna be qualified to do it, to give you what you need.
I'm comfortable with that.
So close the business on the 10th. December 10th is when the meeting is, so you'd have to have them, you know, or, 4:30, I guess, because the town doesn't close like regular business, but 4:30 on the 10th.
We close at 5.
Are we technically closed though? I guess the town,
We're here 7 to 5 Monday through Friday.
do you want to say 5 or do you want to say close the business?
The 10th, I'm not here anyway, it's Tuesday. But they can drop them off here till 5.
On Tuesday or on Wednesday?
I'm not here Tuesdays.
Isn't the 10th Wednesday?
December 10th, I'm looking at 24.
What am I looking at? Yeah, all right. 11th, sorry. Yeah.
Tuesday, next meeting would be.
So do the 11th at,
Well, so we don't wanna make it
Do you
11.
want them Tuesday? I mean,
doesn't-
No, I mean, if they show up before the meeting, we're good.
Yeah,
You
so,
guys are gonna open them here anyway,
yeah,
so they could even show up by 4 o'clock on the 11th.
yeah.
Correct.
We'll do that.
Yeah, if she gets it to me, I can,
Yeah.
Susan gets it to me, I can put it right out.
So they
Thank
do
you.
at 4 or close the business on the 11th?
Whatever you want, pick something.
You're better off put a time,
Yeah, 5.
put 5.
5 PM, December 11th.
all right, we all set with that?
We had Steve motion to approve the amendments to the Forester RFP and forward to the town administrator. That was never
Look at that,
seconded.
we've had quite a nice discussion without a second, but we had a second, right? Right?
I don't know. I don't think we did.
No, we
I'll
didn't.
second it.
All right, we do have a second, and we've had quite a lot of discussion that will be noted, occurred prior, but is relevant and is done, so lots of discussion. Relevant discussion. Any further relevant discussion? There being none, all in favor, say aye. Aye. All right, we'll call that all in favor. Will of the commission has been noted. Mike, could you just bring us up to date on the building demo at what we're still calling the Barden property?
Sure, looks like it was completed at the end of September. The buildings and material have been removed from the site. I went out there after work. It was dark, so I couldn't get a great look, but I had headlights and my flashlight. Site looks pretty good. One of the structures was, instead of having just a flat concrete pad, it was up on concrete pillars. During the site review, with Ray and I were there with the folks that were looking to bid. We told them they could leave the concrete pads there. So one of the structures had a pad, it's there. One of the structures had these, yeah, so those are still there, sticking out of the ground. Little ugly, but I don't think that's, I don't have a problem with that.
I looked at that, I saw them over there also having, at the end of daytime, had a looked over there back a couple Saturdays ago. Maybe, was it? No, I guess it was just this past Saturday. And you're right, it looks not great, but it meets the terms of the contract, and if we want to do anything further, we could see what our options are on that.
If one of the conservation members went up there and just took their little excavator and dug a hole next to each one and plopped it over, would that be?
That's the sort of thing we could entertain, yeah. Then we have the second question on, thank you. So as far as it looked to you,
Well, there's,
you would
yeah, so
agree
there's
it sort
two,
of meets the contract and we're good and we should be able to
There's
pay the
two-
contractor?
there's two hookups there. One looked like a gas hookup coming out of the ground, and then the other one, I wasn't quite sure.
That's a well.
That'd be the well. Okay, so those hookups are still sticking up out of the ground. I don't think we're expecting them to do anything with that.
No, it wasn't in contract.
The back structure with, the flat concrete pad, it's got a little, not even 2 foot by 2 foot cube. Rubbed my hand against it, some petroleum-based product was working with that. Maybe it's a piece of an old furnace or something that was left behind, so it's scrap metal that's sitting there on the pad. I counted 5 tires, I think, on site. So that's what's left on site. So it depends on,
Some of the concrete block are, some block on the slab, some still attached to the slab on the back. So it's not clear slab to ground because some of that
correct.
block is still there.
Mhm.
So at another point where I think it's probably what they've done is within parameters of the contract. But I wouldn't have minded if those blocks had been pulled also, but
Yes.
it is inert, potentially even salvageable material.
I reviewed the context. It depends on how picky we want to be. I don't mind throwing 5 tires in the back of my truck and bringing them to the dump and paying the disposal fee.
They're different, they're not on rims prior times. I think I was able to take stuff from conservation that was not on rim, and it wasn't something I was charged. We could cover that out of our budget.
Right.
If we need to. Just have to figure out how to get that rock out of the middle of one of the tires, I don't know yet. It's
Oh,
kinda
that might,
sitting-
honestly, that's not, maybe not a bad thing to keep there, so people aren't running it over, that rock, yeah. So the only thing I really see if we wanna beat them up about it is, it's in the scope and specifications 2.3. The contractor shall maintain a clean and safe job site. At the conclusion of work, it will be the contractor's responsibility to clean and remove all waste, rubbish, and other debris created by the work, and leave the work site in a manner acceptable to the town of Ware's representative. So we can consider the tires waste.
I was surprised they weren't picked up. But I read the contract, and if they weren't in a building, they were not part of the contract.
Yeah, right, yeah.
Where am I a little lean-to? Is that still there? Is that-
No, they did a good job with that,
Did
that's
you
all
really?
gone, yeah, yeah.
Lean-to's gone, the doghouse is gone, so now, Steve, we got a well.
Oh, and there's a little outhouse back there, that's gone, yeah.
We also have a pit, so that idea of working with a little backhoe to smooth things over is not a bad idea. I don't know what the pit was dug for, but it's obviously a pit and a pile right next to it. I don't know whether it was, had to do with getting the well piping in or what the deal was.
Yeah, I don't think it would take long to go clean that up real quick.
I agree. So, with what I've just heard, I'm comfortable with authorizing, and I'll get it to Beth, invoice payment. And I see nobody suggesting otherwise, so I'll do that. right quick, so we can get them paid within the 30-day window. But Steve, you had some thoughts on the well that is there, it's a rock well?
Well, I mean, my buddy was up there and the contractor mentioned, he must have mentioned that he knew someone on the commission and they said, hey, this is well here. But anyhow, it sounds like there's a drilled well that was under the doghouse that, didn't get anywhere with, Jason about, the town actually welding a cap on there. And that's kind of the thing we needed to decide here too. Like, I'm happy to call, like Kentucky and just get a price, but do we want to have a well there for some potential future use, or do we want to ask about decommissioning, which ends up where you'd have to actually grout the well versus just welding a cap
I would
on?
just cap it,
Just weld a cap.
Yep.
because it'll be safe. Right now, if it's not capped, it's not safe.
Exactly.
I would lean to getting quotes from a couple different well companies to pull the pump, pull the line, and cap the
Cap.
pitless and cap the top, or weld a cover on the top. Because there's the hole out the casing on the top for dropping things in, then there's hole that's usually about 4 or 5 foot down to get the water out through the case in the pitless. So,
But do we
So I-
care about that? I mean, I thought we were just looking at meddling versus now we're in a bigger project with equipment coming up there and,
Well, I'm more concerned
You-
with being a town property now that a little kid
yeah.
walks up to it and falls down in it. It's happened.
Yeah, or somebody.
Somebody
screwing
keeps
around,
throwing
throw it,
crap
yeah.
down in the air, animals, it's just, you gotta cap it. The pitless,
I-
well, it's not a big deal, that's just groundwater that's gonna go in there at worst case scenario.
I just think that drives it to a bid scenario and like have more of a thought out contract. Cause any equipment mobilization, they're gonna zing you for a pretty good fee
You could
there.
easily cap the well when you go there, have a little work party. I can go,
You got to deal with what's in the well too.
yeah.
So that's where I don't think Jason's a good in the town, even if he had a nice rig where he could run a generator and a welder out. It sounded like he doesn't necessarily use it that often, but you can't put a cap on it without getting the drop pipe out. 'Cause well, for that matter, they might even, what did I see? There might not even be a pitless on that one. Because I think I saw two
It might have been a
two
jet
things came
pump.
right up through the cap,
Mhm.
so
That means it was a jet pump. It didn't, might not have a pit, because there's two
that would
pipes.
surprise me if they're able to get water that shallow there, maybe. But I think to do it right, and because we've got well companies right close by, we could get a couple quotes, and it's not gonna be thousands and thousands of dollars. They got the rigs just to roll in there and run anything that's in the, not just the rigs, the knowledge, to run anything that's in the well out, get rid of it for us as a disposal fee. But I bet, it's that type of thing, and then they got the portable welders that are already rigged up. So it's 2 guys, a truck, and half a day, they're done.
So what's the town purchasing policy dollar amount?
Isn't that $5,000?
I didn't bring my book, I don't know.
You got one place that's 5 miles down the road, 4 miles down the road to the north, another place that's
Mhm.
8 miles down the road to the east.
Yeah.
I'd get quotes from both of them and see what we got.
Naomi, they're talking about getting a quote to cap the, well, clean it out, cap it. What's the amount that they have to come to? It's 5.
Okay.
regular fee, the rest you have to get a quote.
Yeah,
Under 5 is just a quote, so you can go to anybody you want.
They like you to get 3 quotes.
Is there a point where you just get one, or is there?
You have to show you've tried 3. You can
Or
email
third?
3 different companies.
could think of 2
One
around
person
there.
gets back to you.
Yeah, we could find that 30 easily enough.
So,
I would be really comfortable with the two that I know of.
we need to know what's out there, though, and we describe to get the actual quote, and, you know, so now it's a little more complex, so you got pulling the well,
No, you got truck accessible well.
yeah, I got you there.
It's,
But we don't know if that's a submersible pump or if it's a jet pump, which you just have two lines going.
well, if it was a jet pump, there should have been something above ground somewhere on it.
Well, he says it's coming out of concrete, which would have been in the house.
Yeah, the pump would have been in the house. The one I have in my shop, my well is 39 feet deep, and it's a jet pump. But the pump is inside the shop. Only two lines are going into the wellhead. If it's a submersible pump, you'll have one line coming up
In a cord.
with a pitless adapter.
And
The wire comes out the
wire
top of the
cord,
well.
yeah.
We don't know what's there.
No,
We'd have to look.
it's gotta be determined.
We'd have to look to see what's there.
If it's a jet pump, just cut the lines off and cap it.
Well, it's a jet pump, you can, if the lines are there, you can pull them right up. They're not, it's only a foot valve at the bottom.
Yeah.
There's nothing there. So, we'd have to look at it. You can easily tell just by looking at it real quick.
Will the DES well record tell you that?
Depends how old the well is.
They won't usually tell you much about a pump, just about the basics of the well and their records during that time are a little bit spotty. I would guess it was something done between 75 and 85.
I think it's that old.
I think so. Don't know that for a fact.
So they didn't cut many branches to go in there, because I went by there last week and it looked like nobody had been.
I was surprised at that too,
They
yeah.
really- I didn't really see,
I
I mean,
didn't-
it was pretty dark, but I didn't see any trees
Yeah.
knocked down.
Can you swing by there again, see what you think about that, wellhead?
I go by there often enough.
I didn't see anything that made me think jet pump initially. And given its location, thinking about the geology, I'd be really surprised if they found water in the 25 feet below ground surface sort of thing, because you got that sort of limitation on your jet pump for
Well,
lift.
Depends what the static is. My neighbor has a 180-foot deep well, but the static water level's 12 feet. So he's got a jet pump, and he's got the thing 20 feet down into the well. So essentially, his well is, I don't wanna say useless, but he's not using the 180 feet worth of,
Right, he doesn't have that casing storage available.
the water level
Or
goes down
borehole
below 24
storage.
feet, he'll run dry.
Well, I've got the well that's, not a half mile away, and my static's 100
That deep.
feet down plus, so. This one, it's still,
It could
it's
be
still,
because
it's still
it's
better than 20
downhill
feet,
from an
20 feet
uphill.
above the pond.
Yeah.
I'd be really, I'd just be really surprised if it had that shallow static to it. So, Steve, you make a good point, because we don't have the well information to
Get a quote.
get a good quote.
We can take a quick look and get all the information we need in a few minutes, just by looking at it. I can get a static water level, we can get everything just by looking.
You got something to plunk it with?
To pu-
You got an M-scope or something to plunk it with?
You shine a flashlight down in there and you put a little thing on the tape measure and you just send the tape measure down, 300-foot tape. You can see what the static water level is. I do it to my well all the time, see what's going on. Simple.
Okay, so, next meeting, we'll figure out which way we're gonna go.
Yes, and anybody and everybody can get out there and look at it? Look at it. Yeah.
Yeah, 'cause we wanna be fair to potential contractors, not to waste their time,
Yeah,
all we're asking for.
let's roll away from that one, Steve, if you're ready, into trail planning. Or we can combine that with the next and last bullet item under land management.
Yeah, I think we should keep this one separate. you know, potentially if we've got a snow-free winter here, maybe, you know, after the hunting season's over, I suppose we could do it next meeting, just kind of, I don't know, maybe tentatively like the 14th or 15th, if people are interested, just go take a walk out there and try to flag out a potential trail.
I mean, even while I was out, I've been out there a few times now, and there are other either well-established game trails or humans are walking out there. There's a bunch of potential
Yeah, there was some-
trails
there
out
was
there.
some nice openings. I don't know how far they go. Do they go real far?
Yeah, there's a road that goes down to that,
Yep, down to the golf course.
yeah, down that direction.
Yep.
I think it'd
And then
go
you can
pretty
just
far.
loop up, then it's pretty open out there. You could
Yeah.
easily loop around to the beaver pond, put
Yeah,
a nice
exactly.
little bench out there or something, you know?
Yeah.
Yep.
So just get that flagged out. I mean, I think, you know, on that parcel, probably a little brush cut and some leaf blowing, and then just have to figure out if you wanna try to put a little footbridge over the
Oh,
over
yeah.
the stream. If you,
Yeah.
I mean, there's not a lot over the stream going, you know, it starts to go up, and there's like a rock wall back there.
I think that'd be
It's fine.
nice if you
Yeah.
put a little bridge over the stream. So you
Yeah.
don't have to hop the rocks.
So you wanna just, I mean, we're gonna have the next meeting, and we can kinda firm it up, but tentatively that weekend of the 14th or 15th, if we can see what we're doing, you know, we don't have a couple of feet of snow. Cause the problem with Barden is you're not gonna be able to park once there's snow on the ground.
Sounds good and provisional, so thanks. Now, on the bigger picture, Steve, trail-wise?
I think Zuzu probably has the update on this. I just saw my email that she was able to get the,
Yeah, just, I was able to figure out the problem with those KML files from Mariah.
And what are we doing with those next?
I forwarded them to Southern New Hampshire Planning Commission, and they already threw them on a map. I mean, I had put them in my Google Earth to see, but I guess they'll, so they had already done that, put them in Google Earth, but I guess they'll add them to the map that they had brought in when they came to speak to us, just to help us visualize the full picture of what we currently have.
you know, I think we need to take that and also look and see the stuff that, Meadowson had, and see if that is, if they're overlap, if there's, you know, some of them same thing, or MTL had something.
Did Meadowsun have something? I thought.
They did, yeah, they did end
Okay.
up having, they have like, you know, they were calling it skid roads and stuff, but still,
Yeah.
it's, you know, there's
Okay.
some haul roads and.
So what are,
I'll
what
have to
are
look
we,
back through the
what are we
emails.
building to with this?
We'll
Is
have
it-
a map, I mean, it shows where everything is that we know about.
And we have this map just because Southern New Hampshire Planning could do this at no
Apparently.
cost to us. They were just,
Well, I
so
think the idea
far-
was it,
as part of our
It was the
dues
first
to
step.
the planning commission, we're getting a little bit of assistance. So that'd be great, okay. But, so this is sort of the baseline depiction to then consider whether there's,
potential for connectivity, I mean, that was, I think,
whether
your
there's
big
something
vision.
to hire or to spec out for another stage of work. Is that what I'm?
Yeah, the
what I'm
the
hearing?
first step was to establish what we have.
Mhm.
And that's kind of what
Okay.
you've been trying to do.
And that, it would also make it possible if we did want to do a meeting that people could come to, we have something to show people, you know, this is what we have, this is, where are you going, what are you doing, where would you like to go, what would you like to do? There's some sort of visual aid there, I guess.
Yep.
If we had a trail system like that, I've seen people with these electric assisted bicycles. Have you seen them? I don't know what they're called.
Yep.
Would that be
E-bikes.
allowed on the trails?
I think
Often,
that's
I know,
a
often
question
they're
for
not.
Future conservation.
Yeah.
Well, it would probably get more people out there, and then more people you get out there, the more volunteers you might get to maintain the system. So the easier you make it for people to access it, the more likely you are to get somebody to help you maintain
Yeah,
it.
that would be like a,
Electric motor?
sir,
E-bikes.
It's got
I know
pedals.
the e-bike, but is that,
It's
it's
got
got a
pedals
motor
and it's
on
got
it?
an
That's what he
electric
said.
motor to assist you
can't
if you're
tell it's
going
got
up a
motor
hill.
on it.
But I mean, so I'm thinking,
Electric assist,
okay,
Yeah.
so I'm thinking, you
So-
know, dirt bikes really tear up.
no.
No, this
Trail.
doesn't.
some
this is
of,
like
some of
a-
these electric assists have big fat tires I've noticed
Yeah.
on them, so they're
It's
clearly
like a
meant to.
regular mountain bike type thing, but it's got a little electric motor to help people that don't have enough power to pedal the thing up and down the hills. It assists you.
Well,
I think that's a sort
further
of,
with than that, they've come a long, long way, and like you said, they got mountain bikes that do 45 miles an hour.
There's, they're categorized, you can limit by, this level type.
Yeah.
So because it does eventually bleed into becoming basically like an electric dirt bike or something.
Yeah, so we just put a limit
Yeah.
on the size.
This is something that's come up across snowmobile trails and the stuff, because they're trying to classify it. Because that is a problem, because they do have some that are like electric dirt bikes.
Yeah.
Can-Am just came out with one. all
Yeah, it's
electric dirt
literally an
bike.
electric motorcycle.
Yeah,
These things are bicycles.
right,
And
Yeah.
you have an assist motor.
yeah.
Jim over at the Small Engine place
Yeah.
has some. And I looked at it the other day, and I had never seen one before. It's very intriguing. He says when he goes to the campground, he uses one to go fishing with instead of a golf cart or something. And he says you can pedal it, and it's got 5 speeds, like a regular 5-speed bike, but it's got a little battery and a little electric motor on it to help you.
Right.
So he says you can pedal it, but you don't have to work as hard to pedal it. And if you want to, you can use it electrically, but it doesn't have a lot of power. It'll just propel you.
The big thing doesn't last long when if you're not assisting it, it doesn't
Yeah.
last long.
No,
Yeah,
you have to,
yep.
so it's pretty neat.
I guess that goes to the sort of community forum type stuff. It's who are your,
Users?
yes,
The users.
your users, your stakeholders, who's interested.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to think of
And I-
ways where more people would access the system to get more assistance to maintain the system. The more people you have, the more likely they are to maintain it.
Yeah, buy-in.
We gotta find out what's allowed on Class 6 roads, what the selectmen think about it.
As far as bringing it back to, or not, I guess going over to the Barden, I think, that sort of property probably doesn't have much application on the riding side, but, you can do loops, and we've got some of the finest eskers around, just impressive things on there, where you have to do some steep hiking, but we could have an esker loop, we could have a, beaver pond, lookout, and, a longer trail eventually could have a footpath, establish a footpath over to Chipmunk Falls from that location. Then, that could be a half-hour, 40-minute walk. That would take you across the creek, across Dustin Brook there, and up to the other side of the flowage.
So the big thing about Barden is just want to finish up a promise to Jack Meany that we are late, and I know we're late, but things just took time. And,
Yeah.
that was part of what we promised to do when we bought that, and just want to be done with that. And then, the rest of it we can, I think this is the big picture you guys are all talking about, and then there's Barden, we just need to do something that makes sense.
Yeah, thanks for reinforcing that, Steve. All right, we good on where we're at with that? Sounds good. Thank you, Steve, thank you, Zuzu, for spearheading and sorting some things out there.
Still got a piece of that.
All right. Oh, software.
Yeah, I mean, so again, back to the kind of the town purchasing policy, so I don't know what's gonna cost us, we're gonna have to figure it out, but, actually, I can probably figure it out here. So something like Arc Pro that's it's the software, with this one company for GIS software, and that's it, there is no, it's gonna be a municipal price, kinda is what it is, so I don't know what the board, I guess we can try to pull that up right now for municipal license.
There's also QGIS. There's also QGIS, but it was just free, but it's horrible.
Yeah, I mean,
Not horrible, but it's, if you're familiar with ArcGIS, it's a,
ESRI is
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
company, that kind of control the world of GIS.
They work hard to keep that pole position with it.
Everything's built around it.
Yeah.
There's some other, there was some
I
free
wouldn't
one.
surprise me if they're at least $750 a year now.
I think it's, that was the maintenance fee you're talking about, but the initial,
Well, yeah, you can do the maintenance fee if you just back up and pay the previous 5 years we haven't paid the maintenance fee, so.
yeah. I guess this is not gonna be that simple. Professional RHS pros, 2,200 a year.
That's the maintenance fee?
Yeah, I think they're getting to be like everybody else, we just don't buy anything and own it anymore. ArcGIS Pro Standard,
Yeah, it's access to their software.
yeah, we might be able to,
That's cheap, that's $183 a month. I mean, every software we use, you used to own it, now you have to rent it.
yeah.
It's $400 a month, and it's going up again.
So I think we'd get professional. I don't know if they have a municipal discount or not, but yeah, so I mean, that's gonna be 2,200 a month, and we need to get
A month?
a year, sorry. It's getting late already. I was up early.
But $183 a month is not bad.
Yeah, I mean, so there are no options to go anywhere else for that. So I don't know what we do there. If we're just good
Under the purchasing
policy, and
policy, so.
there won't be any 3 quotes or anything. Just, so we can get the quote from Esri. And then we need to buy a new laptop. Do we have a, tech support that would steer us in the direction of getting the laptop that would be suitable for replacing this? To run that application?
Purchasing hardware, Naomi. Have we, do we have?
Yeah, I mean, do they just go, I mean, I guess they could make recommendations, so we don't have like a standard place we buy, we don't buy everything from one place.
So he acts as a purchasing agent for
Okay.
hardware as needed.
Yeah, because you can go buy it at Best Buy and then it's not even compatible and then it's slow as death and then it's everything else.
Yeah, exactly. So do you wanna just send maybe me or send all of us that person's email contact, cause I don't think I've got it. And then we'll just tell them we're looking at running Arc Pro and need to replace the laptop. We're just asking them to give us a budget, basically, so we would send money to them and they'd make the purchase and get it all set up.
Yeah, when we replaced him, he set someone all up for us.
I think we probably ought to get an external drive for backup.
Yeah, that'd be nice, instead of Google Drive.
Yeah. So just take that up at the next meeting once we get more information.
Yeah, we can collect information in the interim. If, Naomi, you can share contact information with the commission or subset as seems appropriate to you.
Have you guys messed with Pro at all? Have you used that, Susan?
yeah.
You got it done? To me, it was a little
I,
foreign.
we switched to it at my old job toward the end of my time there, and yeah, I guess I started figuring it out. It's just how patient are you and how many tutorial videos are you?
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely different than
Yeah.
ArcGIS.
All right, we'll keep collecting info. You gonna try, Esri to see if they find a salesperson to talk to you? if they do any,
Yeah, we'll get that, and I'll get that, and then if Naomi emails the contact to us, just shoot that person an email
Right.
with the,
good.
just tell them what we wanna do. Is there anything else we need to think about running? That's all we just had basically the Microsoft Office suite, I think, on there.
Right, now that's a license, so you have an annual fee for it to maintain access to their software updates.
Probably like,
So there's just a dollar amount that goes to the annual licensing.
It's so by, without the, online.
Really? I
Yeah.
thought they'd totally extinguish that. They just bumped the price of that up.
I don't know, when I got all my computers done, I didn't want a monthly fee or a yearly
Right.
fee. So I have the Microsoft Office suites paid for.
Hmm. That's good to know. I think they're definitely pushing the individual
Right.
towards numbers that seem affordable on an annual basis versus package it at a higher sort of business type pricing.
yeah, I mean, so we're gonna want like, definitely have Word, Excel,
Right.
maybe the Access. I don't know how much we really use that, but I think that's all in the, if you get the complete,
And the full
so,
package.
yeah, I think
I
that's
think
all there.
PowerPoint usually runs with it.
Yeah, yeah,
If
that's
you're doing
right.
presentations, which we haven't, but,
And not in a while.
yeah.
We have the way back.
All right. You got enough on that one, Steve?
Yeah,
Next one has your name on it too.
oh, it does.
Wonder if that power line work by Farron had to do with the permitting that they're now doing.
It's gotta be.
Okay, check.
They've been all, yeah, they've been, I mean, that's all the way down on 114 as well.
Yeah.
They're on
Where's
there.
the Ware substation on that?
That must be that one that's right,
Right
it's
on
up on the
top
hill,
of
isn't it? Yeah,
hill,
yeah.
it's Off the Norris Road.
Yeah, remember they had like 25 acres up there or something?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, did we, kind of, seems late, but did we, mention anything on our commission budget this year? I don't recall getting a,
She sent it off months ago, because they were due back in October.
So we never did do it, did we?
did,
There was no October.
It wasn't.
because we
yeah,
didn't do
right.
the October meeting,
Yeah,
so
She probably proposed what you put last year,
we've,
or left it on, or on default anyway.
right. So the default would be to what last year's was, if we need to,
Default would have been 23s. Because 23 passed, default would have been 24 is just default, so it'd be 23s, but.
yeah.
we don't really use it that much anymore.
We don't,
so-
but if we find something that suggests we should, we've got
We made the
We've got the
adjustment.
opportunity to talk with the selectmen about it and say, we really think this needs to be adjusted at the, usually it's in December or January, that the conversation's had, so we could, at that point, appeal to include something in the budget, like we did decades ago to include the, Esri annual maintenance fee.
Yeah, I know, that
Because
kind
that
of,
was like dropping 400 into a budget that had been consistently 200 or something, so it was a pretty, percentage-wise, big increase, but it was supported way back when.
have we gotten a bill from the, Association of Conservation Commissions? And I don't think we got anything on their training, not that I ever went, but that's usually
I
right around
think,
now.
yeah, we haven't gotten this year's, so the short answer is no.
So I wonder if we're still a member.
Oh, we paid back in July.
Oh, we did, okay,
Yeah.
so we did do that, but we didn't get the, because I think years ago when maybe Pat or someone went, that came out of our budget too.
Oh, for training?
Yeah.
I think we maintained that line.
made an
we just haven't
adjustment
tapped it
last
for a long
year
time.
Because the price was increased, so we made the adjustment last year for the increase in dues.
Mm.
Yeah. But then it wasn't approved, so then we stepped back to the 2023 one for what I just heard, so, yeah. Any other thoughts on that? Nope. We did get a question through email about whether we do firewood permits on town property, conservation properties, and answered back, we haven't for 20 years, and that was the answer to that inquiry. It's, I suppose, something we could consider.
Kinda complicated though, because it kinda gives someone free rein on going somewhere, and it conflicts with the timber harvest, probably.
Yeah. So I think we got, Steve knocked that one out of the park, and, we'll leave that right there. All right. Selectman David.
Yeah. I don't have
Thoughts for us
much,
to consider this month?
I don't have much for you. Just to let you know, we did open the bids for engineering services, and we selected Keach Nordstrom, pending the planning board's review of a couple things in there. Other than that, Naomi mentioned earlier, we do have the information that was mulled over for Article 24, 26, over with the town attorney for their review. So we're waiting to hear back from them.
Any expectations on that at this point, or just open-ended?
Expectations of when
As
we're
far
gonna get
as
it?
hearing back.
Yeah, I don't think we have a
I
date,
sent you 35 attachments.
Yeah. so. A lot of information to review. No, we haven't.
So
Can we send them an email and just ask them if they can give us a estimated time?
Can I say something? Just, just kind of thinking out loud. I mean, at this point, couldn't you just kind of clean that up with trying to have a warrant article to,
Yeah,
or-
I'm not gonna get in the middle of that, but
you know what I mean? It's just,
as far as right now, we're still reviewing to weigh the options, so.
Okay.
I would imagine if we tried to put a warrant article about it again, the Parks and Rec would put out a warrant article, we'd be back to square one.
I guess.
I think we just gotta clean up where we're at, because, yeah, it's just gonna be a continuous circle. I don't think anybody wants that. I don't think anybody wanted what we have this year, so.
Okay. Thank you, Dave. Anybody else have anything for tonight?
Who's the new attorney?
It is, Drummond, Woodson, Drummond, Woodson,
Where they out of?
Manchester.
All right, I don't hear anything more, so here we are at 9:28. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All right, all in favor of adjourning, say aye. Aye. Adjourn, 9:28.